So I'm Adam Levin. I'm co-host of the podcast, What the Hack with Adam Levin. I founded a cybersecurity company called CyberScout. I was co-founder of credit.com,
That's a big
and
one.
I've dedicated over the past 40 years to consumer protection. I was former consumer affairs director for the state of New Jersey. And so it's really one of the main focuses of my life has really been, how do you educate and protect consumers, and small businesses, consumers, people who are out there in the marketplace. And it's all about how can we better arm them. I'll give you an interesting example, I think. If you say the word portfolio, the Pavlovian response is investments. But many people don't really realize the fact that we have other portfolios in our lives. One is our credit portfolio, one is our identity portfolio. And we would hope that a professional would be managing our investments. As consumers, it's our responsibility to manage our credit and our identity. We have to build them, manage them, nurture them, and protect them, because these portfolios are all intertwined. Just like in marriage, people come together, two as one, but yet as two. Well, these portfolios are intertwined so that your investments could be going great. But if you have a real problem with your credit, you're going to need to withdraw the money from your investments and put it toward life expenses. If your credit is great and your investments are fabulous, but you become a victim of identity theft, it not only can destroy your reputation, but it can crush your credit and then force you to use much more of your capital that you could have invested. Not to mention the fact that they could steal your identity and then crawl into your investment accounts. So that's why it's extremely important. Just as you need and want to know everything possible about the person that you're going to be spending the rest of your life with, you also need to understand those things that will be spending the rest of your life with you, which are your investments, your credit, your identity.
Whew. Adam, first of all, welcome to the Big Wedding Planning Podcast. And I am very much looking forward to the next hour. When you say identity theft, that right away just gives me like anxiety. That is so scary to me. And I know so many people have experienced it. It's funny, the other day, I went to Bed Bath & Beyond, and because I had gotten in the mail like a little, free gift and, 25% off. And they took out the little card and scanned it. And I was really excited because I got a good deal. And then she's like, here you go. Like, she handed me back the little postcard that had my name and address on it. And I was like, oh, that's okay. Can you just throw it out for me? And she's like, and she goes, yeah, sure. And she took a Sharpie and she like, she blacked out my name and my address, and then she tore it in half and she threw it in the garbage. And I thought for a second, like, well, that was really considerate. And I thought, is it a big deal? Like, can somebody do something to me just because my name and my address was on that card? I don't know, but I think that goes along with like what you're talking about today. What was that about?
Well, first of all, she did you a big favor, because a lot of people just throw things away. I mean, I'll give you an interesting example. So years and years ago, in the modeling and entertainment business, people would distribute their headshots through casting directors, agents, and the like. And in the old days, when people didn't think about it, they would have their name, their address, all of their vital statistics, as well as their social security number on the back.
Oh God, I remember those days.
And what would happen then is that these different offices where they would be going and presenting themselves, either their portfolio and themselves, or they would go and they would do a presentation as part of a rehearsal or an audition. And those people that didn't get selected, the folks would just throw out their head sheets. And what they didn't realize is they were totally exposing these people, because they were just sitting in a garbage can. And there are people that will go through garbage cans looking for any piece of information that they can get. So if you think about it, if you go to Bed Bath & Beyond, you bring your gift card, and let's say you end up using a credit card there or a debit card or whatever, and it's in their systems. First of all, someone coming along, just going through their garbage, for instance, would see something and say, oh, well, Michelle was here on such and such a day, and this is what her home address is. And then they could go on the dark web, and using your name and address, they could buy other pieces of data about you. And slowly what they do is they put together a mosaic of who you are with all of these different bits of information, including they could go on social media and they could begin to determine where you live, what you do. So, piece by piece by piece, they put it together until they can present themselves as if they were you. And then suddenly you're a victim of identity theft. So on the food chain of what is the most dangerous to have out there, your name and address is not horribly dangerous. But if they start putting it together with social media postings and other things that are out there about you, they could go online and search your name and address, and all of a sudden they know more and more about you, and then you could have a problem.
Okay, so I guess then I should also, every time I get one of those credit card offers in the mail, instead of just tearing it in half, I should just put it in my shredder.
Absolutely. And when it comes to shredders, I would say never underestimate the humble shredder, but get the right shredder, because there are a couple kinds. There's the ribbon cut shredder, and then there's the cross cut shredder. The ribbon cut shredder cuts strips. And if you saw the movie Argo with Ben Affleck.
Oh God, that's right.
Yes. So you don't want to use.
They taped them all together. Like.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you want to use a confetti shredder, because they can't do anything with that. And it's just so important. It's why give the world any additional information about you? Look, there are a couple things that when you look at the big picture, you have to think about. Number one, breaches and data leaks and data compromises have become the third certainty in life behind death and taxes. Secondly, it's no longer a question of if, but when you're going to become a victim of identity theft. And the third thing, and the most important thing to think about, is we all have day jobs. We work, we own companies that we run things for other people, we're raising a family, we're involved in educational activities, we're involved in philanthropy. That's our daily job. To a hacker, we are their day job. This is all they do. Mm. And whether they cast a wide net or they zero in on somebody that's of interest to them, bottom line is, once you're in their crosshairs, remember that they are sophisticated, creative, and persistent. Mm-hmm. Because when a lot of people look in the mirror, and most people, when they get ready for their weddings, they are certainly looking in the mirror. But when most people look in the mirror, they go, I'm a handsome person, I'm a beautiful person, but I'm just a person. I'm a regular person. Who cares about me? Mm-hmm. But what people don't understand is that when a hacker looks at you, they don't see you as you. They see Sharon Stone, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Adam Levin. You got what they want. We have data, we have financial information, or we are the tributary to a larger river, which means it's not about us. It's about who is our partner, who we're married to, who's our child, who's our parent, what company we work for.
Yeah. Whew, okay. All right. So we started off with some real serious talk. Well, this whole episode is going to be serious. Okay. I don't want to freak anybody out, but I am going to go on Amazon and get a cross shredder.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So there are wedding scams, and knock on wood, I haven't, been a victim, or none of my clients that I'm aware of have been victims, but I do remember getting was it last year? There was like this huge thing that went down with this venue, like a chain
Mhm.
of venues that just left thousands of couples hanging. So these things happen from time to time. I'm getting asked to us often, and this isn't necessarily a scam, but like small businesses, let's say a DJ company, or small businesses who are wedding vendors, like when they claim bankruptcy and they keep the deposits of the couples, things like that. But you presented the top 5 wedding scams for this episode, and I would love for you to expand on these. The first one being fake vendors.
Absolutely. You can have fake vendors, you can have fake expos, or you can have fake vendors at
those wedding expos.
That's right. Or
yeah,
fake vendors at legitimate wedding expos, but they're there. And the whole point is it's kind of smash and grab, which is get in. And some of these folks are vetted, but other people may steal the identities of vendors that are vetted and figure out a way to show up there as well. Or they will contact you because they know that you were at an expo and that these vendors were at the expo, so they will represent themselves to be the vendors. And sometimes it's as simple as people will sign a guest book at an expo, and they'll give their name and they'll give their email address. And then you'll get an email, and that's called phishing. And there are 4 types of phishing campaigns. There's general phishing, which would be dear cardholder, dear member, dear policyholder, dear couple to be. And it would look like a general publicity communication. And some people might go, well, wow, the prices on some of this stuff looks fabulous. I'd like to get in touch with this person. And what they do is they'll send you an email and there'll be a link, but that link will contain malware. Now, that malware, once it gets into your computer, can do a few things. It can take you to a website that looks very authentic. And when you, let's say you buy something or you even register at that website, that's not a real website. And people sometimes have a tendency to use the same password and user ID everywhere.
Yes, a lot of people use the same password. I know a lot of people like that.
And that is, people say, well, at least if you're going to have a password, make it to be a indecipherable password, long and strong. The only problem is you could have the longest and strongest password in the world, but if it's as a result of a breach, it's discovered, now all of a sudden they've got it, you use it everywhere, and they will use it. They will try to use it for their benefit. So you have to be really careful about signing these guest books. You have to be careful about the email that you get, the links that you click. You have to be careful. Let's say you put down your phone number. Well, another kind of phishing is vishing, voice over internet protocol, but it's voice-based phishing, which is where you get a phone call from someone who goes, Michelle, I see that you were at the expo and you signed in to the book for the company that I work for. And I'd love to talk to you about the services that we provide. And let's say you like those services. And they say, well, if you'd like it, lock it in. The way to lock it in, give me your credit card information. And suddenly they got you that way. There's also what's called smishing, SMS text-based phishing. That's where you get a text like, Dear Expo attendee, we have got wonderful things for you, great deals on dresses, great deals on professionals who you can hire for your wedding. Just click here, come to our website. You click and malware gets on your phone.
Yes, all of these, this is something I've known for a long time, but it's true. Like you get a link, you click on it, and you could be totally screwed. It's so scary.
Absolutely.
And a lot of these vendors at these wedding expos, Adam, they'll have promotions. If you sign up today with us, you're going to get 30% and we're going to throw in a free lighting package. So let's do this now.
Absolutely. And, you hope that it's a legitimate person you're doing it with. And there have been, a lot of vendors that they've been questionable. So
Let
go
me
ahead.
ask you this, because a lot
Sure.
of people and a lot of couples like to go to these wedding expos. They're super fun. They get all these free gifts. They get lots of good food. They get some alcohol, lots of fun things. There's photo booths. It's a lot of fun. What would be your protocol? What would you say? Like, don't sign up for anything. Don't give your information. Don't contact me. I'll contact you. Is that the safest thing?
Well, I would, that to me is always the best thing. Where people get in trouble also is where there's a phishing attack where someone will call them on the phone and they will ask them to authenticate themselves. So in other words, they may not even call you as if they're a wedding vendor. They may call you as if they're your bank. They may call you masquerading as the Internal Revenue Service or your state taxing authority or your health department or the jury commission. I mean, the list of scams goes on. The truth is the scams that are out there are pretty much the same scams that we're used to, but they're wrapped in a different wrapper depending upon what the scammer is trying to make you believe. So if you went to a wedding expo, they might try to convince you they're a vendor. If you are, they may send you something as if they're a charity. And a lot of charity scams are going on right now, especially in connection with the Ukraine. So many people want to help people in the Ukraine. Now, there are many legitimate charities. So the way to find out, for instance, if a charity is legitimate is you go to charitynavigator.org.
Okay.
And, they vet charities. And they're not the only ones. I mean, you could also contact the State Consumer Affairs Department and say, I've been thinking about giving to a particular charity. Are they legitimate? Have you had complaints against them? So a lot of this is online. And that's the other thing too, is with a lot of these expos, people are doing things online relative to the expo or the vendors of the expo.
Mm-hmm.
And what if the website of that expo is hacked? There's another kind of hacking called e-skimming. Now, you know about skimmers, your credit card is skimmed and then someone has your credit card number and they use it to take over your card.
Mm-hmm.
Well, e-skimming is where hackers will put malicious code on a website. There's no way as a consumer you would know it's there. When you go to buy something from that website, as you put in your credit card information, that information is being transmitted to the hackers. So, and the only way that you can protect yourself with that, A, you hope the website does a good job of monitoring what's going on, but B, you sign up for what's called transactional alerts with your financial institutions, credit card companies, banks, credit unions that notify you anytime there's activity in your account. Because if you sign up for something and like a few days later, all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of strange charges in your credit card, you might be able to, trace it back to that particular event.
What a good idea. Yeah, you know what? I have that for my bank account. If there's more than $125 charged, I get a text message, but I don't have it on all my credit cards. So I need to do that.
You should have it on your credit cards and don't assume that it's going to be over $125. In other words, a number of these scams, what they'll do is they'll run a test. They'll put in like a $5 or $10 charge through a debit card, for instance, into your bank account that you overlook. But then they know they got you. They know what your bank account number is. They've got the information they need, and then they go bigger and bigger. So that's why you shouldn't set a limit on the notifications for either your bank or your credit card, because frankly, you need to know if anything untoward is going.
Okay. All right. So we talked about fake vendors. The next one we have here is counterfeit dresses.
Yes.
What is that about?
Well, you'll go online, you'll see a fantastic dress. You'll say, oh, I love this dress. I want this dress. Now, a lot of people do it in person, but more and more people, especially because of the pandemic and safety protocols, they've been going online. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of websites that are fabulous, and you can see a wide array of opportunities there in terms of dresses. But if a dress seems just way too inexpensive to be real, it probably is. So you could buy it and then it shows up. And let's say it shows up 3 or 4 weeks before the wedding, and it is a knockoff of what you thought you were getting. And now what are you going to do? Because these websites are very careful. They don't make it easy for you to contact anybody at these fake websites or these clone websites. So you have no one to contact. And essentially, let's say you use the debit card, your money's gone. Gone. And if you use a credit card, again, a lot of credit card companies, even though it's zero liability in most cases, a lot of them go, well, this charge was 3 months ago, and now you say that you got something you didn't like. It's like, why is that our problem?
So a lot of, discount, quote, discount stores say, oh yeah, we've got all the name brands. I've got a Ralph Lauren here, and it's only, $500 or whatever it is, like.
Or a Vera Wang.
Or a Vera
you
Wang.
Get a super cheap Vera Wang or
yeah,
McQueen, or, the list goes on and on.
Right.
And that's why
you your wedding gowns, Adam.
Yeah. It's true.
Okay.
And here's the important thing is, if you see a website and they have a product that's of interest to you, first thing you should do is go online and read reviews. See what people have said about this, because one thing that's pretty true is, in this day and age, if someone thinks that they have been abused online by a vendor, they'll get loud.
They will.
They will get loud.
Yeah, you're right. That's such a good point. Don't just jump the gun. Does it, so my website is an HTTPS, right? It's like that secure.
Right.
And my husband has our internet set up here that if we even try to look at a website that's not secure, we can't even access it. Is that something people should think about, or when they're looking at these websites? I feel like I didn't even know about this as a business owner for a while, until somebody like me said, hey, your website isn't secure. I can't even access it. And I was like, oh, shoot, and then I did whatever the easy thing is to make it secure. Does that matter?
It does. It matters. HTTPS is very important. You never want to enter your financial information with any website that doesn't say HTTPS or have the little lock that you'll see to the right.
Yeah.
However, there have been cases where scammers have managed to get the right security certificates, so it would look like it's HTTPS. But that's why go to the source if you don't want remorse, which is do independent confirmation of the website you're going to make sure it's the right one, and then read reviews and have this transaction monitoring on your bank and credit card accounts, so that if anything strange happens, you're going to know about it. And go directly to the website. Do not click on any link. Do not open an attachment. I know there are some people that say that, well, how can you live without clicking on a link or opening an attachment? Trust me, you want to go directly to the website. You want to see that they have the right things, like the HTTPS and the lock, because you don't want to be unpleasantly surprised, and you want to do your research. And whatever time it takes you to do the research is nothing compared to the time it will take you to put your life back together again if you become a victim of identity theft.
It's a nightmare.
It is.
Whew. Okay. Next one we have here, phony honeymoon packages, especially in other countries.
Yes. And this happens with, if you're going to book your travel, either book it through a travel agent with whom you have a relationship, or if you're going to go to travel sites, make sure that you're going to well-vetted, well-reviewed, well-established travel sites, because, these things will pop up all the time. Banner ads will show up. You'll get all sorts of phishing email that will look alluring, exciting, wonderful. But what you don't want is to fall for a fake travel scam where you lay out money and then there's nothing. Or you book a hotel and then you find out later that you thought you were getting a discount, but in fact you were paying a significantly higher price because you were going through a third party that wasn't necessarily a legitimate third party. So the room was still being booked. Unfortunately, you pay double what you should have paid.
Mm. Yeah.
So that's why also tour operators check out extensively the tour operator to read the reviews, take the time.
Ooh, that reminds me, once we were in Mazatlan and my in-laws, bought tour tickets from just this little guy, this little hut.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, this is the best deal. We're gonna take the boat out to the little island, and there's a restaurant, and it includes free drinks, and it's beautiful, and there's all these games. And we went on this little rinky-dink boat, and I was like, oh my God, I'm afraid. And then we get there, and this place has got the worst food. Not only that, but the alcohol literally was watered down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, thankfully nothing bad happened to us, but I was like, oh, that was a scam. Like, that was just like, they are really taking advantage.
Sometimes it's wonderful to meet local people who will take you to wonderful places. Also, there's the one where you have to be very careful if they go, okay, today we're having a special tour to a secret cave. Well, the first question you may say to yourself is, if it's secret, is there an issue with this cave? The second thing is, are you in danger by going on the secret cave tour where then you become a secret, you get vanished?
Yeah.
So it's always important to check with the concierge at the hotel you're staying at.